believe everyone's here. So this is the previous meeting before the round table starts.
Si queréis podemos explicar un momentito cómo irá un poco la sesión y así todos tenemos claro, como decía, ¿sí? ¿Alguien ha dicho David? No, vale. Como decías, es a las 4, más o menos 4:45. Primero se hará una pequeña explicación.
So at 4:45, we're going to have first a brief technical introduction, just mostly for the interpreting, and warning people that the session is going to be recorded so that if people don't want to appear, they can turn the camera off. Then we'll have institutional welcome. We'll have first CESC with Greg, then Maria from ISEC, Elena, Acción Cultural, and Susana from Ramon Llull. No, apologies. Yolanda. It was Miquel, right? Okay, Miquel, ISEC, and Yolanda from Llull. Okay, then we'll have another brief technical explanation for translation in case anybody connects 5 minutes later so that they know how it works. And then on the chat, there will be more instructions. Then there will be a brief video, and CESC will introduce the first panel session on RIEE. First with the 4 networks that make up RIEE, and then a couple of points to present the Iberoamerican network of performing venues. And then Miguel will talk about the website and the map. Then we'll have a 2-3 minute break just for a quick change with a video, and we'll have another brief presentation from CESC on the panel session for the second half, where we'll have Zaida Rico, Iberescena, and Toni González from IETM, and then we'll have a panel session on networks and how they work at the moment. Finally, we'll have a brief Q&A session on the chat. Everything will be on the chat, okay, not open. Questions will go to the chat, to the technical team, and they will be re-channeled to the right person to answer. And then we'll close the session and say goodbye until tomorrow. Okay. Are there any questions? Any doubts? No? Okay. So, Aida. Yes, apologies, since Toni and I will not join until 5:20. I'm going to be connected, obviously, because I'm very interested, but Latin America is waking up now, so I have to make a few calls. So just to avoid blurring the picture, I think it's best for me to disconnect my camera until I join as a speaker. And then I'm just connected as audience, okay? Sure, great. Now, in about a minute, we are going to silence everybody and we'll connect a video loop that will run for 6-7 minutes while people go to the waiting room and join the session. And more or less at about 4:05, we'll stop the video and CESC, no. Aina will the technical explanation and then CESC with the introduction, okay? Okay, so if that's all, we are going to mute ourselves and we'll speak in a minute.
Grec a les sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales. Grec a les xarxes. Grec tot l'any. Grec més enllà. Grec Festival de Barcelona. Ajuntament de Barcelona. Grec a les Sales.
Benvingudes, benvinguts, bienvenidas, bienvenidos.
Welcome. We are now going to give you a brief introduction in English for those people who need simultaneous translation. The lady speaks English.
First of all, we'd like to inform you that today's interventions will all be in Spanish with simultaneous translation into live English. To activate the English translation, you should look for the translation icon. It is a glove icon, actually, in the Zoom options and select the language English. As soon as you activate this option, you will only listen to the English translator until you switch it off again. We give you a few moments to activate it, and we will start with some technical presentations. I hope everything works correctly. You can also access to the 00 Incidencias chat to solve any inconvenience. Please let us know if you are not able to find this globe icon or to use this translation system. I give you just a few moments. Ok, vuelvo al español. Gracias a todas y a todos.
Excellent. I hope you can get to the interpreting feature. Now, a few points of order. Please keep your microphone off. You can always ask your questions on the chat in English or Spanish, and the questions will be addressed to the speakers at the end of the session. If you have any particular queries, you can write a message to 00 Incidencias or send an email to nauivanow@gmail.com. Please remember to change your profile name, say your real name and the festival or the body you represent. When you go to simultaneous translation, please just choose one language, either English or Spanish, and keep it then, because Zoom could miss work if you keep changing channels. The session will be recorded from now. If you choose not to be on the recording, please disconnect your video camera now. Thank you.
Bienvenidas, benvinguts, welcome.
Welcome all. As subdirector of Grec Festival, we are thrilled to start this professionals meeting. I don't know if you've seen it. There are over 300 people connected, lots from Latin America. I'd like to take this opportunity to send a big virtual hug to our colleagues in Latin America, and of course to everybody connecting from all over the world. Now, this is a brief institutional presentation. We'll soon get on with our contents. These sessions over the next 3 days, you'll have seen the contents, are focused on the creation of networks in Latin America and Europe, and how we can develop a future together, a future that we don't know what it's going to be like yet, but we are going to try and develop as many networks as we can to help us. There are several sessions every day. And we will finish with a block of presentations of the Greek productions. You know that we've been fortunate enough to go on with our festival, not the way we would love to, but at least with most of our performances. Some will appear in July during the Greek festival, and others will appear later or perhaps even in 2021. We have several blocks on production. Some of them are in cooperation with Latin American venues or creators. And on the last day, we'll have a presentation of co-produced projects for Greg next year. There will be 6 of them. And we'll also have presentations and chats with the artists. I'd now like to thank Marta Oliveras and Salvador, who've been working hard to create all these contents, and the people from Nau Ivanow, who are telling us a lot about how to do Zoom chats and webinars. We're all beginners here, but we learn fast. So thank you all. Welcome to our session. I'd love to give you a hug. I can't, so I'll just send my big warm greetings. I'm now going to give the floor to Miquel for an institutional welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you, Cesc. Welcome to Greg Pro Online. As ISEC, we have been working with Greg Pro almost since 1995. I'd like to start by thanking Cesc Casadesus for his work leading Greg and the whole team on this quite complicated year. I mean, who was going to tell us a couple of months ago that we'd be talking about this Greg Pro Festival? So I think that, first of all, we want to congratulate Cesc and thank him for his huge effort for this festival, or this Pro Festival, which, although it is online, at the end of the day, it just brings together artists and people from all over the world, and it brings together companies, creators from our country, from Catalonia, placing them center stage. This is one of the main tasks for us at ISEC and the government of Catalonia, and Ramon Llull, whose director, Yolanda, is here with us. Yolanda and I are inseparable at the Department of Culture in the regional government of Catalonia. So this is what we do at Ramon Llull and ourselves. And I'd like to invite you not to miss any opportunities to find out about all these companies and creators. Performing arts are quite clearly social events. It's almost a ritual by now. And this online edition means that we won't have that close physical proximity, but I'm sure we'll go back to it next year. And finally, if you have any questions, any comments, please use any of our network contacts, our offices in Barcelona or our offices in Brussels, Berlin, Paris, or London, with Eva, Mar, Neus, and Nuria, or our head of markets, Maria Basora, who's also here with us. So please, any questions, any doubts, reach out to us, write it on the chat, send us an email. We'll be delighted to help you out. And finally, I want to wish us all excellent professional sessions, fruitful professional sessions that will allow us to establish links between creators and managers and different countries, because at the end of the day, that is culture. So thank you all, and let's enjoy it. Excellent, thank you, Miquel. We'll now give the floor to Elena Díaz. Elena, for your welcome from Acción Cultural Española. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for your kind invitation. And thank you all for connecting to this Zoom session. Congratulations, Cesc. And thank you, Marta, Salvador, and everybody on the team. Because, well, perhaps because of these lockdown months, I definitely feel a lot closer to you now, and I appreciate all your work. You know, the passion, the love that I personally, Elena, feel towards Latin America, but also in Acción Cultural, we also feel extremely close to Latin America. We've been part of many projects. We were also part of the creation of Iberoamerican network of performing venues, and we are delighted to be here with you. I think that these projects, such as the network of performing venues with Mexico, Argentina, and Spain, or the Iberoamerican platform on dance, or the meeting on public policies, or hemisphere connection, or I mean, all of those are, at the end of the day, excellent examples of the result of many years of hard work, which thanks to you we can now share. Also from GREC Festival, I have to thank you for the first map on performing arts activities. I've been following that very closely. So thank you all for being here, and I hope we'll enjoy this session and continue establishing these bonds. I will follow closely this new way of presenting projects, and yeah, congratulations to you all, and thank you for your invitation. And I hope that was that. Yes. Could you hear me? Yes, that was fine. You just need to mute yourself now, Elena. Thank you. I'll now give the floor to Yolanda Bataller from Ramon Llull Institute. I cannot see her, but I know she's there. Yolanda? Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon. Delighted to be here.
Proud and happy to be here today with you all, and happy to continue collaborating with GREC. Very, very important, and this Latin American session. So thanks, Cesc, for the invitation, and thanks for the effort, as Miquel Curanta was saying, of being here this year again with all the reality that we have all shared, and besides of this, being able to have done this GREC and it happening with all the necessary health measures. So as Institute Ramon Llull, we really appreciate this. We are happy to be part of it. Congratulations also to the whole GREC team, especially to Marta and Salvador. And I want to point out a sentence that Cesc was saying. He was saying in occasion of this GREC, this is a very personal GREC that shows my love for local talent. And I think this is very important to point out at this moment, because this is what GREC Festivals does and has been doing for so many years. This magic between local talent and international talent. And this is where Institut Ramon Llull always goes together, the same as ITEC. No? What happens in GREC goes afterwards to Avignon, to Paris, to Brussels, to London, to Holland, to Latin America. And this is basically the mission of us all, having this Catalan culture arrive abroad. As you know, Institut Ramon Llull takes care of sharing Catalan language, literature, culture all over the world. This is why we are so happy to be here today and all these days. Llull, the same as GREC, is always next to the artists and with the artists, always, and especially at these difficult times even more. And now, I think, listening also to Elena, we are all rethinking institutions. We are rethinking festivals, new ways of working with agility, with generosity, with flexibility. It's amazing to what GREC has been able to do, and to have here now more than 300 people, working on culture. This is a miracle always, but especially now. So being here now at this particular moment is the best example of what we have all been doing these last 4 months. These last 4 months that we have all discovered that we are all in generally weak, and that we have weaknesses, but that from these weaknesses, strength also comes, and whatever situation we have all encountered, we are here now today fighting for culture together, sharing culture together. This is amazing. So as Institut Ramon Llull, and the same as Isaac and Miquel was doing, and the same as Elena, very thankful to be here, insisting on this importance of rethinking all of what we do, and somehow creating more nets than ever. I think that we have all discovered that if we cannot do it physically, we do it digitally, but we do it. And this is especially what we are doing now. This is really, I think it's the success of all of us. It's a virtual space for the arts. So again, best wishes with this Latin American edition, best wishes for Greg, from Institut Ramon Llull, all the team, all the people that make possible the collaboration every day, Susana, Teresa, Maria, Esther, Francesc, and also, as Miquel was saying, our international delegates, Raúl, Jadranka, Silvia, Mark, they are all of them here to answer any question that you might have or anything that you need to be helped. So please, I invite you also to follow us in the Institut Ramon Llull nets, and also in the Catalan culture ones, that you have them in Spanish, in English, in French, and also in German. And nothing else. Muchas gracias, muchas gracias, y el mejor Greg posible.
I wish you all the best possible, Greg. Big hugs. Thank you. Thank you, Yolanda, for your passion. We're all full of passion, albeit with screens between us, but let's go for it. Let's tackle the contents. I feel privileged for being here. Presentation. We're going to talk about the Iberoamerican network of performing venues. I'm going to give the floor to David Marín, who's going to facilitate the session. Thank you all, and thank you for your passion and enthusiasm. Thank you, Cesc. Before we start, a couple of technical points, and then we start with our panel. Aina? Yeah, just for those of you who have just joined, welcome. Just to remind you that we have a simultaneous translation into English. All the presentations will be in Spanish. So if you want to listen to English, look for the icon of a globe on Zoom and choose English.
We'd like to inform you that today's intervention will all be in Spanish with simultaneous translation into live English. So to activate the English translation, you should look for the translation icon, that it is a globe icon, in the Zoom options, and select the language English. As soon as you activate this option, you will only listen to the English translator until you switch it off again. We'll give you just a few moments to activate it, and we will start with this journey. Thank you very much. And if you can also access to the 00 incidencias chat that also to solve any inconvenience. So thank you very much and welcome all.
Bueno, pues muchas gracias.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Cesc, for the introduction. So today is an important day. It's like we turn the majority of age. We are now 18. We are now adults because it's our official presentation, so to speak. So the Ibero-American network of performing venues actually comes to life. And it's a very important and special day indeed. Wait, okay, it's gone now. So we've been working for more than 2 years in different gatherings. We've been holding different meetings and gatherings, virtual and face-to-face. So again, today is special. It's a very important day. And we would like to introduce and discuss this network of networks that we are building together. And that's why we have now with us representatives from these 4 networks, and hopefully with time, many more will join this super network, this project. So let me first introduce, if you allow me, Jacobo Pallarés from the Alternative Theatre Network in Spain. Hello, Jacobo. Good evening for you in Spain. Hello. I would like to introduce as well Samuel Sosa from RECIO, Mexico City, the network of independent, organized cultural spaces and performance venues in Mexico. Good morning for me. Okay, good morning, Samuel. Now, Verónica Tapia. We have Verónica Tapia from Santiago de Chile. She is the chairwoman at the Venues Network in Chile. Hello, good morning for me again. And last but not least, from Argentina, we have Liliana Weimer from ARTEI, a network of independent theaters. Are you there, Liliana? Yes, hello. Hello, good morning, good evening, anyway. Hello to all of you. Great. Before we kick off, and for those of you who maybe don't know these networks, can you please briefly introduce your networks before digging into this bigger Ibero-American network? Maybe we should start listening individually from each and every one of you. So give us a glimpse about your institution. I'll give you 3-4 minutes each to introduce your network and your objectives maybe. So we can start with Jacobo if we agree. Okay, great. Well, what really matters is that we're here today, because it's been huge, and it's incredible how nervous you can get behind the screen, as is the case now. Well, thanks to Greg anyway for having given us this opportunity. I'll be very brief. I'll keep it short because I think it's worthwhile listening to what RIEE have to say, this Ibero-American network. Our alternative theater network was founded in 1992. It sounds like ages ago, 90 something. It's been over 20 years, so we go back in time, a totally different moment. So we have an experience, we have a background already, and that is the case since 1992, when a series of venues got together and they decided to create some network, a coordination agency. And now we're 46 different spaces, venues, theaters. It's again difficult to define what we are, but after this period, after the lockdown period, now more than ever, we truly believe in what we are, because we are not just a theater, we're not just a venue for exhibition purposes, but because what really gives us our value is the addition of all our values together. 46 partners, as I say. So yes, we are exhibiting venues, but we have residencies, projects, we have the creativity, the research, and the, you know, all of these activities add up, all the activities carried out by our partners, and that's what paves the way for what we are, a huge and complex project. We work on different projects, and maybe the most solid working lines are the national ones. Theater, dance, also shows for children and adolescents, and even this year, it's a classic. Even this year, in the middle of the lockdown and in the middle of the crisis, our circuit never stopped, and we selected a series of proposals because we were watching the video, so we were programming, and these circuits, as we call them, are now 20 years old or more. So again, it's a classic that's come to stay, and it comes year after year. We have over 50 different proposals this year that we've analyzed. We have another line of work which is called Agalia. It's a residency space, and it's from 2006 in this case. We actually founded this in Magalia. And for 2 years it went to Santander, then it went again back to Magalia, and so the next edition probably will take place in the first quarter of 2021. So again, very, very solid, very solid. It's a research, creation line of work, and it's very solid. Again, also in Spain, we need to mention the support that we receive from other partners and other national and nationwide based associations, the Ministry of Culture as well, that our national interlocutor, and we also support our partners, sharing experience, sharing knowledge, because that's something that we can leverage on our territory. We can also refer as well to the international line of work from 2014. Ever since I'm the chairman of this network, we have worked on our international projection. We are part now of the IETM. We organized it in Valencia at the time. We are still partners at IETM. We go there as much as we can, and we're also founders of a European network of networks as well. In this case, more in relation to cultural agents and not just venues. But now our focus is set on Latin America. We had our Iberoamerican theater circuit there, and now we want to, well, work on this connection again and relive it. It's a very solid line of work that we want to improve and work further on, and now with our eyes put on Latin America. Great. Veronica, please, from Santiago de Chile. She's the chairman at the Red de Salas. Hello. Hello, everyone. I am the president of the network of theaters. We're guilds, and our network, in comparison to what Jacobo just explained, is a regional network. We cover the city of Santiago in Chile. 23 theaters are part of our network. We were created in the year 2013 because an important crisis hit hard theaters and theater companies. So that took us to actually applying for aid and with our government. In the end, eventually it became the intermediation fund, as they called it, and they help the guilds and those networks just like ours so that we can we can continue doing our job. So we have state support, government support in our case. The traits of our theaters in Chile are very varied. They're very different. We have non-profit and for-profit theaters. Some do receive governmental funds, some don't, some are completely independent. We have also venues or spaces granted by universities. And this diversity has taken us to actually becoming to understand the needs that we have as an industry, but also as well, it's helped us understand that it's not easy. It is not easy to be part of an ecosystem like the cultural one. So this is maybe, the uniqueness that we have, and it's going to be a trait common to all the members at the RIEE. We have as our main goal the institutional strengthening. We want to broaden our audiences, and we want to promote the network itself and the different theater rooms. As I said before, we celebrate the theater day. We also organize theater night. That was last year. We were hit hard by a social crisis last year, and that helped us grow. The fact that we started organizing the theater night. We also have a festival that's national. It's sort of a debate session that we open up to all of the country because we want to create a national network, and it's very important. It will be very powerful, politically speaking, if we manage to do so. And we also have another program which is called Connected Audiences, let's say, Públicos en Red, and that's for audiences who, well, don't have access to a theater room, for instance, or cannot join some events or some activities. So we act as the link, the bridge between those audiences and the theater room, whatever show is exhibited. Oh, my time is up. I am seeing the signals. Okay, I'll leave it here. I'll leave it. I can wait. It can wait. But that was grosso modo what I wanted to say by way of introduction. Thank you, Veronica. Samuel, now, please, from the city of Mexico, from RECIO
Hola,
is the name of the
gracias a Greg
network.
por la
Hello,
invitación y
I
por
would like to
organizar
thank
este
Greg
encuentro.
for having
Eh,
organized
nosotros
this
somos
meeting.
la red
We
más
are
joven de los
the
cuatro.
youngest
Nosotros
network of the
nacemos en
four
2016
represented here. We were
y
founded
hemos
in
tenido de
2016,
2016
and
al día
ever
de hoy
since,
altas y
since
bajas en el número
2016
de
to date,
espacios
we've had our ups and
pertenecientes.
downs concerning
En
the
este
number
momento
of
somos también
partners.
la red más
Actually,
pequeña.
now
Somos
we are
11
also
salas
the
las
smallest
que
network,
integramos esta red.
apparently, because
Y
number
estamos
of partners
concentrados
is 11
en la Ciudad de
only,
México,
and we are focused and
porque
mainly
las
based
naturalezas
on
del territorio mexicano,
Mexico
digamos,
City
tienen
because
una
of
complejidad
the
particular y
peculiarities of
las
the
artes escénicas
Mexican
están
territory, and performing arts
centralizadas
in
en su
Mexico
mayoría
are
en la ciudad. Sin
centralized
embargo, estamos
in
trabajando
the
también
city mostly,
en la
even if
creación
we are
de una red
working on the creation
nacional
of a
o de
national
alguna
network
especie
or
de
some
forma de trabajar con los
sort of
teatros del resto del país.
way that allows for us to work with
Las tres
other
líneas de
theaters
trabajo de la red
in
son
the
la
country,
incidencia
not just in the
política,
city. We are
la formación de
focusing on
públicos y la
advocacy. We want to
profesionalización del
broaden our
gremio de
audiences,
las
and we
artes
want
escénicas.
to make performing arts
Nosotros
a true
nacemos
profession.
a
We want to
partir
professionalize
de
the
un
performing
cambio
arts
en
industry.
la
We were born
estructura
because of a change that
política
occurred in
cultural
the
de
political slash
México.
cultural
Digamos
scene
que
in
estamos
Mexico,
transitando
and
del
we
paternalismo
are
institucional
moving from
a otra
institutional,
cosa que no sabemos todavía qué es, a la orfandad, tal vez.
condescendence, let's say, to
Y
something
en
different.
ese
Doesn't have a
caldo de
name yet,
cultivo,
don't
digamos,
know
es que
what
vemos la
it is
necesidad
yet, but we
juntarnos, de
see,
asociarnos
clearly see the
y de
need
ser
to
sobre
get
todo una fuerza
together,
que pueda
to
incidir de
partner
manera
up, and to become
tangencial en la
a
política
force
pública
that can
de
lobby
nuestro estado.
the
Y desde ahí hemos
political
hecho cosas
situation
interesantes.
in
Hemos
our state, in our
tenido
country. We've
dos
done some
coloquios, hemos
important
realizado una
things so
muestra
far,
off
two
paralela a la
debates.
Muestra Nacional de
We
Teatro que se
organized an
organiza desde la
exhibition in
institución.
parallel to the theater
tal vez
festival that is
el
organized
avance más
here.
importante
And
es
maybe
que
the most important
logramos
breakthrough is the
pasar
fact
una ley de
that we
espacios culturales
managed to pass a
independientes
law for independent
que
cultural
está a punto de ser
performing
aprobada
venues, and it's just
en el Congreso de la Ciudad de
to
México
be approved
y
in
que va
the
a tener
Congress
un
here
cambio
in Mexico
trascendental en la
City,
forma en
and
la
that is
que
going
se
to
operan los teatros
be a
en la Ciudad de
real
México.
change in the way theaters are run and operated in
Y
the
bueno,
city of
estamos realizando una
Mexico.
serie de
And
proyectos
we are
adicionales. Ahora,
working
justo a
on
partir de
many
esta emergencia
projects
sanitaria,
now
hemos
with
convocado
the
junto con el Colegio de
health
Productores de la
emergency
Ciudad de México
together
a
with
una
another
alianza
institution
nacional de
here
las artes
in
escénicas
Mexico.
que
We
está
are
también
calling for a
trabajando en
national
una
alliance
serie de
of
medidas
performing
para
arts, and
atender
we're
la
working on different
emergencia.
measures
Estamos
to also
desarrollando también un
be
banco de
alert
boletos.
concerning
En
the,
fin,
well,
tenemos
the health
como actividad
crisis.
varia.
But we have several activities
Me parece
going
importante
on,
recalcar que
and I
somos
think it's
una
important to
estructura
stress that
meramente
we
política, no
are
nos metemos con la
well, a
poética.
political institution, let's say.
Y sin embargo, hemos ya tenido algunos,
And we've had,
nada, por mencionar una cosa,
just to mention an
Julio
example,
Álvarez
Julio
del
Álvarez
Tantarantana
from
provocó la
Tantarantana
posibilidad de hacer el año pasado un
asked
cruce
last year
de escrituras
to
contaminantes
do
entre textos catalanes y autores mexicanos
cross-contamination
y eso fue
exchange
una cosa
of
relativamente fácil de
texts and
activar a partir de que
pieces
existe
between Latin America and Spain in
este
this case.
intercambio y
And
esta
now,
comunicación.
well, the communication channel
Y
is
cabe
open,
decir que
so it worked
pertenecer a esta red
fine. And the fact
iberoamericana
that
es el
belonging to
primer
the
esfuerzo
Ibero-American
internacional
network for
que
us
nos toca
is
hacer.
the number
Y
one
bueno,
and
creo
our
que
biggest effort,
por ahí
at
cubrí
least the biggest we've done so far. Thank you.
We'll now listen to Liliana Weimer, head of ARTEI, the Argentinian Association of Independent Theaters. Great, thank you. Hello, good morning, good afternoon. ARTEI is an association which, just like our colleagues in Spain, we were also born last century, about 1998, because of, well, some of our pioneers, what we call our pioneers, their need to face, well, to cope with the situation. Back then there were about 10 of them. They got together and they set up the association ARTEI. Now there are over 100 venues who are a member of the network ARTEI. And we still receive requests for membership. So I think, but yeah, by the end of the month, there will be 110 of us. Just as our friends in Mexico, we are also concentrated in the main city, in Buenos Aires, because of geographical reasons. Our country is quite large, and it makes it hard to bring about a unity of action amongst networks of venues in different provinces of the country. And well, I mean, this doesn't mean that we are completely unrelated. We represent mostly performing venues, spaces. Over all these years, there have been many actions, many initiatives. I won't go through all of them, but I would like to mention some of the main salient points which were the result of ARTEI's leadership. For example, all the changes in legislation for performing arts venues, because before there was a huge legal vacuum. And since the year 2000, ARTEI started lobbying the authorities to have some kind of regulating framework. Unfortunately, we had to have a huge tragedy in the city of Buenos Aires for the government and the civil servants to get moving and for them to realize that we needed some kind of regulatory framework. ARTEI was an active member in the drafting and the passing of that framework because we needed to pass on knowledge about our activities. And that is one of our main achievements. Apart from other laws on our activity, we have a national law and we have in Buenos Aires a local law to protect independent theaters. And ARTEI, as I said, was also involved in it. The national law of 1997 and the Buenos Aires law of 1999. Now, over all these years, ARTEI has been an active agent in the political agenda of our ministers for culture, of our governments, of our political ups and downs. I mean, being Argentinians, we're pretty used to that. Our basic premise is that we're all fighting to keep our venues alive. But we also accept, as I've heard from other colleagues here, that, well, we accept different profiles, different aesthetics, different ideas that our member venues have. We are just, well, we do not just performing or production, we also do training and rehearsal. It's one of our main activities. I'm afraid we're having problems with the sound from Liliana. Apologies, Liliana, but you are cutting up. I don't know. Are you? Yes. We're having problems with your connection, Liliana. We seem to have lost you, in fact. Let's see. Well, we're going to try and get Liliana back. If you don't mind, we're going to go on with the panel, and then we'll go back to you, Liliana. Okay, so having had the introductions of all four networks, we are going to get on with what RIEE is. RIEE is the Iberoamerican Network of Performing Venues. Well, why is this session important, bringing these four networks together? Well, the thing is that RIEE wants to be a sharing point of many things. We want to share management ideas and creation ideas, not just artistic, but other projects as well. So I'm going to ask you four networks a couple of questions so that you can tell us how you see RIEE and why your venues have, or your networks have decided to devote your time and energy to RIEE. So my first question is, why are we creating RIEE? And what does RIEE mean for your networks? What are the goals of RIEE, and what do you think RIEE can contribute to your ecosystem? Shall we follow the same order? Jacobo? Yeah, okay, let's go for it. For us, Red de Teatros Alternativos, the network of alternative theaters, for us it is an area where we can share ideas, models. It's not, I mean, it brings about the possibility of movement, circulation. and change. That's why when we met 2 years ago in Santander, we said that this was a possibility of for exchanging and sharing, above all, ideas and thoughts. And we thought it should be Iberoamerican and alternative. Why alternative? Well, we were thinking about it, and after a couple of years of considering it, we, as members of the board, we got together and we thought of a few points which, for some of the members of the network, they might be right or not, but I mean, those are our ideas. We thought that, well, why are we going to create it? Because we can, because this network of alternative theaters now it's able to participate in this sharing of ideas with other members, with other friends and brothers and sisters in Latin America. We had already done it with Europe, and we wanted to do the same thing with Latin America, to share this space. So first, we created it because we can. And then why? To have a sharing point, to exchange ideas, models, managers, models of residencies, models of creation. We could even go towards exchanging, projects. And then we don't just want to exchange ideas, we want to share information. Like right now, in the middle of the lockdown, we had to face the situation together. And this network gives us this shared space. We want to be an international network of alternative venues. I think that when the board and I, as a chairperson, joined that, our political idea was partly the internationalization of our network. So for us, one of our missions or one of our goals was the international cooperation. And we're doing so with similar-minded people and wonderful people. Let's not mince our words. And also another goal is to develop our skills and become more professionals. We believe there are other ways of doing things, other ways of managing, other ways of doing residencies, other ways of doing creations, other ways of engaging our communities. So as a network, we are very open to playing with that. We are listening out and we want to receive all that input and bring it in and include it in the way we do things. And we, of course, want to share projects. We have 46 very active members. And that dynamic attitude is what makes us be on the go. We have, for example, the Nau Ivanow, Tantarantana. We have lots of other projects who have a very clear focus on Latin America. We have a clear calendar of contacts so that other members, if they wish to, they can also join on to other colleagues from Latin America with similar profiles, because they have a venue, a building, mortar and brick, with a project inside, some kind of artistic project. So that gives us the shared language, and it's not just the Spanish language, but the performing language and that shared sensitivity. So for us, the network of alternative theaters wants to just continue our path that we started in wonderful Santander, in La Magdalena, to formalize this initiative based on these desires and these goals. I mean, I thought that, the 20s, the happy 20s, the swinging 20s, well, apparently they're not going to be so swinging, but with the projects like this, we can make ourselves happier and share that happiness with others. I don't know, the members of the board, everybody, our desire is to solve problems, obviously, and to create happy, swinging venues. Because it's hard to work in this industry, and we want to contribute some joy. So yeah, that's our initial input. Yeah, thank you, Jacobo. I remember in December, I remember you saying, oh yeah, the beginning of the swing in the happy 20s. Yeah, the happy 20s, right? I mean, yeah, it will be happy at some point, I hope. Verónica, what do you think? From Chile, what do you think of the creation of RIEE? Well, first of all, before the happy, crazy swinging 20s, those 20s, we had a crazy epidemic, and then we had the swinging 20s. So who knows? We might be on the right path. Jacobo has described very well all our reflections, all our past, the conversations that we shared before the creation of RIEE. So let me take it from there to avoid repetition. I think we realized that we needed to find points where managers and producers, we could all get together. We wanted to pass knowledge on, pass experiences on things to do with methodology, with management. Why? Because I think that is the basis for then everything else to bloom, to blossom, where then creation can travel from one country to another, where also performing or residencies. For us, residencies are not as popular or as common as in Spain. So that knowledge is essential for us. Now, the experience we had as a network of venues in Santiago, 5 of our networks went last year to see venues in Barcelona, Valencia, and in a couple of them in Madrid, I think. And I think that's when I realized how important this Iberoamerican network is. For us, as members of RIEE, of the Iberoamerican Network, it was crucial to find out information, to share ideas about management processes. Some of them we knew, some others we didn't. We thought that we had fascinating conversations in the different venues. And I think that it wasn't just that, you know, we took back to Chile lots of knowledge, but also it was both ways. Yeah, it was bidirectional. And I think if we nurture that, if we strengthen that, this could be a really powerful network in this flow of information. And I think what makes this network strong is the political positioning that we can have with 192 venues from 4 different countries today. I hope many more in the future. And we all talk about the same things, and we fight for the same things, and we achieve things for some of us and for arts and for culture at a moment of emergency, like now, or at other, perhaps happier, more swinging moments. Yeah, Samuel, México.
Sí, pues yo creo que ha sido muy interesante descubrir, por supuesto, las diferencias, no solo de las 4 redes, sino de de
the
las
differences
formas en
that
que
there are
se
between all
hace
four networks and
teatro y
how
en que
different
se
it
hacen
is,
las artes escénicas en nuestros
how
países.
theater is done, how
Pero ha sido más
performing arts
interesante
are done
destacar las
in our
similitudes,
countries.
¿no?
That was
Creo que
very
nos hemos dado
interesting, the
cuenta
differences.
de
But
cuán
the shared
parecidos
points, that was
somos,
fascinating.
digamos,
We realized
no solamente
how
desde lo
similar
obvio, compartimos
we
un
are.
idioma y
And
compartimos
it's
una
not just
idiosincrasia,
that we share
pero
a
también
language or
compartimos
an
una
idiosyncrasy.
crisis y
We
también
also share
compartimos
a
una
crisis.
relación amor-odio
We
con nuestras
share
autoridades
a
y
love-hate
también
relationship
tenemos
with
problemas
our
mundanos
authorities.
como el uso
And
del
we have
suelo, problemas de
trivial
ordenanza, de
issues
financiamiento,
such as,
de
I don't know,
articulación.
the use of floor or
Y hace
local
2 años que pudimos
regulations.
encontrarnos en
And
Santander,
a few years ago, we met
yo me atrevo a decir que fue un encuentro catártico en
in
muchos sentidos.
Santander, and that was quite
Aprovecho
a
para agradecer un montón
cathartic
a
meeting.
Acción Cultural
And I
que
want to
hizo
thank
posible ese encuentro,
Acción Cultural who
porque
made that meeting possible.
fue descubrir
Because in Santander,
homólogos
we
de otros países cuyas
discovered
historias de vida y cuyas historias de gestión son tan
similar-minded people
parecidas y
from
tan
other
similares a las
countries,
propias,
people
¿no?
who have
Y a
similar
partir de
jobs to us,
entonces
with similar
hemos
concerns
hecho
and similar
una red
backgrounds. And that has led
de compartir conocimiento,
to a network where we
documentos,
can share
reglamentos, manifiestos,
knowledge,
metodologías.
documents,
Hemos
methodologies,
podido aprender de la
manifestos,
experiencia
where we can
y de los
share
errores y aciertos
from
de otros.
the
Y
lessons
eso sin
learned
duda
by
es
other
una forma más
members.
rápida de
And
llegar
that
a los
is
objetivos,
a
¿no?
much
Creo que
faster
ahí
way
está
of
el gran
getting to
acierto
our
del
goals.
articular
And
esta
I
red de
think
redes,
that
en el
is part
compartir
of the
conocimiento no en un
success
sentido
of this network
pedagógico,
of
sino en un
networks.
sentido,
The fact that we bring together
en un sentido
knowledge, not
humano, en un sentido
academic
social.
knowledge, but human,
Y creo
social
además
knowledge.
que
And
esta red
I think
permite
that
poner al
this
centro de la
network
discusión a los gestores, ¿no? Que
brings
no necesariamente están
managers
al centro de la discusión en otros
center stage.
espacios.
They're not
Yo pienso
necessarily the
mucho en,
focus of many
digamos, en
other
el circo
discussions.
tradicional. Para que el circo
And
llegara a la ciudad tenía que
I
haber alguien
think
de avanzada viendo
they
dónde y
play a
cómo se iba a
crucial
montar la
role.
carpa, ¿no? Y siento que los
I
gestores
mean,
somos esos,
I
somos
think
los
that,
que,
you know, when a
los que
circus
vamos
comes to
podando el
town,
pasto
the
para que
manager
las
needs to go
cosas
first
vayan
to see
sucediendo.
where they're going to set up the
Y el
tent. Well,
edificio
that's us,
teatral,
managers.
al ser
We
el
need to
punto de
make
encuentro, termina
crucial
siendo
decisions.
el
The
pretexto
theatrical
neurálgico para el
building,
compartir
the
conocimientos.
venue is
Entonces,
crucial because that's
el
where
gran acierto de
things
trabajar ahora en
happen.
una red de redes, me
And I
parece que
think
es ese.
what's
Es un
wonderful
asunto de
about
conocimiento, es un
working
asunto
in
de
a network
compartir,
of
es un asunto de
networks is
información
that we
y es un
share
asunto de ahorrarle
knowledge,
tiempo al otro
information,
a partir
and
de la
we
experiencia.
save other people's time because they learn from our mistakes.
Thank you, Samuel. Let's see if we can get Liliana back. Are you there? Are you with us, Liliana?
¿Se me escucha ahora?
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Por ahora sí, bueno.
Well, for the moment, for the time
Bueno,
being, we
lamentablemente me
can
perdí
hear
las
you.
exposiciones
Well,
de mis
I'm so
compañeros
sorry
porque
because
tuve
I
que
couldn't
estar
follow
haciendo unos
the interventions
reinicios de
by
la
other
computadora,
colleagues. I had
temas
to
de internet y
restart,
demás.
reboot the
Esperemos que dure un
computer,
poquitito.
etc. You know,
No,
internet
redondeo un poco lo que
issues.
estaba
Well,
hablando
let's
al
recap
principio cuando
a
se
bit
cortó,
what I was saying in the
que bueno, tiene que
beginning
ver
when
con que
I
ARTEI
cut off.
es una
ARTEI,
asociación
I
que
was
a lo
saying,
largo de
ARTEI is an
23 años de trabajo
association with
fue,
23 years
digamos,
of experience, and
fue
we
convirtiéndose
have
en una
become
asociación
with
de las
time
referentes
an association
del
that's
teatro
actually a
independiente en la
benchmark, an
Argentina.
important one, a reference in the field
Y
of
con
independent
hay
theater
una
here in
característica que no hemos
Argentina. And
perdido,
there is
que
a
tiene desde
trait
el
that we
inicio ARTEI y
haven't
que no se perdió a
lost
lo largo
right
de los
from the
casi
beginning.
23
It was never
años.
lost for these past
Hasta este
23
año,
years,
que nos
which is
agarró
the
la
following.
pandemia
Well,
y el
this year, of course, the
distanciamiento
pandemic
social
caught us
obligatorio,
off guard, and
nosotros
we've had to
siempre
abide by
hacemos
social
una
distancing,
asamblea
etc. But
semanal.
otherwise, we
Vengan los
organize a
socios que vengan.
weekly
Pueden
meeting, a
venir
weekly
80, pueden
assembly.
venir 30, pueden
We
venir
might be
20.
80 attendees
Hablamos de
or
asambleas
20 or 8
presenciales
or 10.
donde se
I'm talking
vota
face-to-face
absolutamente
assemblies
todas las
with
acciones
voting
que ARTEI tiene que llevar
activities,
adelante.
and
Se
we
discute.
decide on the
Bueno, esto es
different
algo que
functions
siempre
that
nos ha
ARTEI
caracterizado, el espíritu
is going
asambleario
to
y
conduct. So we are
democrático que
we have
tenemos
this
en la
democratic
asociación.
spirit, and we abide
Actualmente
by
lo
it
hacemos de
right from
manera
the beginning
virtual
in our
y las
association.
hacemos
Now, of course, we
sola
do
cada
this
15 días, pero
online,
bueno, por
and
ser
it's not
este un
weekly,
año
but
especial.
it's every
Pasando
fortnight. But we have
a
continued
esta red, a
to do so
RIEE,
despite
bueno,
lockdown and
obviamente
despite
estamos muy
the pandemic.
contentos y muy
Concerning
agradecidos de
the
poder estar
Iberoamerican
entre,
network,
podemos
RIEE,
llamar
we are
estos,
indeed
estos cuatro socios
very happy
fundadores
and
que somos, ¿no? Las
very
cuatro redes
excited to be part
de estos cuatro
of the
países.
founding
Y
partners, the founding members.
sinceramente, bueno, creemos que estamos dando
And
inicio
quite
a algo, estamos
honestly,
participando
we
del inicio
are
de algo que
witnessing, not just witnessing, but
promete y
starting of
mucho.
something
Creo
very
que
powerful,
la
something that's going
posibilidad de intercambiar
to
nuestras
be big,
experiencias,
and it's a
de
great
poder
opportunity to
aprender,
exchange experience, to
obviamente que
exchange
cada país
knowledge, to
tiene
broaden
sus
our
características,
horizons.
su
Of course,
idiosincrasia,
different
y
countries have their different
cada red
peculiarities,
también la
and they're
tiene.
all unique, and the
Pero
different networks,
justamente
they're
en
all
eso creo que
unique
puede
themselves.
residir
But
también gran
that's
parte
why, really,
de la riqueza que
where
tenemos
our
que
wealth
encontrar en nuestra
will
red.
come from, and that's what this new
A lo largo de
network
los
is
años,
going
así como en
to
ARTEI, por
contribute.
ejemplo, hemos
In
aprendido que
ARTEI, for
en la
instance,
riqueza,
we've learned
en la
that
diversidad está nuestra
diversity is
riqueza.
really very
En la
rich,
diversidad de lo
is
que
what
somos, de
makes
lo que
us very
presentamos, de
rich,
lo que
because we are
producimos, de lo que
different and we
hacemos,
produce
está
different
también
things and we
nuestra riqueza.
program
Creo que
differently, and
esto
that's
se puede
what
aplicar
makes us
también a
very
RIEE
interesting, and that indeed can be
y,
applied in
y
turn to RIEE.
fundamentalmente que a partir de
Fundamentally,
nuestras
and
distintas
of
estéticas y
course,
quizás
taking
de
into
nuestras
account our
distintas
different
miradas,
aesthetics, let's say, our
es muy
different
probable que podamos llevar
perspectives, the
adelante
different
muchas
look
acciones
we
que
take
hemos ya
at things.
conversado
Probably we will be able
y
to carry out
y
many
que, bueno,
different
que
actions and activities that we
tenemos
have
en
in
nuestras cabezas y
our
en nuestros
pipelines,
planes.
or at least in our minds, in our heads, as part of our
Hay un
future
valor
plans.
que creo
There
que,
is
sobre todo a
a
partir de este
value
año,
there, and especially
se ha
starting this year,
hecho
it
mucho más
becomes more
presente
important than ever,
entre
and it's
todos
becoming more
nosotros y en la
present,
humanidad en
and it's
general,
affecting, well,
y tiene
humankind
que ver
in
con la
general. It
solidaridad.
has to do with solidarity.
Nosotros
I'm referring to
siempre decimos que
solidarity because there's
estamos,
something we
trabajamos
always say. We
unidos,
always say that we work
solidarios y
together, so we are
organizados. Yo creo que
united
esto se
in
puede trasladar
solidarity,
también
and
a
we are
RIEE,
fully
y el tema de la
organized, and I think
solidaridad
that that can be
justamente,
applied to RIEE as well. So
digo, más vigente
solidarity
que nunca,
is
en un
now,
año
well, more
muy
fashionable than ever,
especial y en un
if you
año
allow
que
me
vamos a
to put it this way.
recordar
It's
y
a
que va a
very
quedar en la
special year.
historia.
It's a year to remember. It's a
Estamos
year
atravesados
that'll
por
be
algo
in
que
history
ni siquiera
books
sabemos bien
for
qué es.
sure. We're being affected by
Y
something
pienso,
that
para
we
cerrar
actually
nada más,
we don't know what it is
que
yet, or not fully.
todos los que
And
hacemos
just to
y
close, let me
participamos de
finish
lo que es
by
las artes
saying that
escénicas, el
all
arte en
those of us
general,
involved in
en nuestro caso
performing
en particular
arts,
las artes
in the
escénicas,
arts industry in
estamos
general,
hechos
I should say, we're all,
de paradojas
how
y
can I say,
rebeldías.
we're all
Así
made of
que, por lo
paradoxes, and
tanto,
we're all
pensaba
rebels
en un
in
año en el que
spirit,
se
in
nos
our hearts. So
obliga a
this
estar
year we've
distanciados,
been
nosotros
obliged
decidimos
to, well,
juntarnos.
be
Lo cual
afar and be
creo que
distant. We
marca
decide to
un
get
buen
together.
arranque.
So that's who we are,
Así que
and
yo
that's what we're
deseo
like. And
éxitos
I really would like to
y
wish
MERV,
the
como
project,
decimos en varios
well,
países,
very,
a todos
very great
nosotros.
success to all
Y
the
bueno, y
countries
que
in
sigamos
this
adelante y
endeavor.
que
And
esto
let's hope that
sea
we can
realmente,
move
bueno,
on and carry on
una
together,
semilla de
and
algo
that this
que
is
pueda
the
llegar a
seed, that
crecer
we're planting the
muchísimo.
seed of
También quiero
something
agradecer
that will
mucho
grow
este
really,
espacio
really
dentro
big.
del
Thank
Festival
you, by the
GREC,
way, it's a Greg
que
Festival.
es
Thank
muy
you for
importante
having
para
organized
todos
this
nosotros.
meeting. It's very
Bueno,
timely and very important for all of us,
gracias.
indeed. Thank you. Thank you, Liliana. We got your message loud and clear, loud and clear. Okay. Just before I move on, some people wanted to take the floor, but since there are simultaneous translation, we kindly ask you to write down your question in the chat box, and at the end of the discussion, we will read the questions ourselves. We will centralize the questions, we as moderators, and then convey it to the speakers. So please, if you're so kind, write down your questions in the chat box, and we will collect them, and we will indeed ask your questions to the different speakers. Let's move on now. I would like to hand over to Miguel Lozano, the manager of the Alternative Theater Network, because he's going to talk to us about the idea behind RIEE, because it's not just a project, but the idea is also to make this something physical, some space, some real space, so that we can map the Ibero-American performing venues, for instance. And now Miguel is going to introduce this project that is now seeing the light, let's say, and it's becoming available. We have more and more information available. Thank you. Good morning for those of you joining us from Latin America. I would like to discuss, let's say, the most tangible part of the story, the most real part of the story, because we've decided to create a website. So that is indeed the first reality. I would like to thank the Grec Pro Festival, the fact that they have offered the possibility to be addressing you now. So it's a great opportunity. Also, Elena from Acción Cultural Española, I would like to uh, well, mentioned that they were always willing to participate, and without the support of this Spanish-based organization, this probably wouldn't have been possible, at least not now, maybe in some other moment, but surely not now. So let's present the beta version of the website, because it's not done, it's not over, not at all. So probably and hopefully by the end of the summer, we will have something final ready for you to take a look at. The web page is not just a web page, it's a broader ecosystem, and there's an underlying intranet, and all the members of the network of all the members of RIEE, 190 different members, can jointly collaborate. And this has to do with research, field research that we are conducting in collaboration with the management of the different venues. And we want to gather as much information as possible from the different theaters, so that this can help make the site, the page, more user friendly. Let's see if I can share my screen. Hopefully it'll work. Sometimes it doesn't, I have to say, or it might take a while, but it's supposed to be working. At least that's what I hope. Here's my screen. So we want to create a web page, and that well, goes back to 2018. You can see my screen, yes? You can. Okay, I see some of you are nodding. Great. So the first 4 networks members, we discussed the visibility of our venues, of our theaters and that want to be part of this network of networks. This is the domain riee.org. It's not open for the public because it's the beta version, and that's the closed format that we are using so far. We are now, we have already subscribed to different social networks, as you saw. We will have a newsletter in the future, so this is open already. And this is also in Twitter. It's on Twitter, so if you want to contact us on Twitter, you can do that. And the name is RIEE, also on Instagram and Facebook as well. Facebook as well. We will change the route. Probably it will be EU RIEE. We can use RIEE as a domain for Facebook because it was taken apparently. So this is the most basic idea. So just for you to see the first glimpse, what you will get once you log on to our website. Let's see if you can have an idea. It's developed already. The site is working internally, and you'll see how operational it can get. We start off with 183 venues. However, Liliana mentioned that we are going to go up to 190. So I have a few days to include those new members. So in principle, so far, 183 venues from different countries. And this page is is a geolocation site, because the idea back in 2018 when we first got together, well, had to do with having a comprehensive overview of these nearly 200 venues that can be part of RIEE and all those joining in the future, hopefully many more. So it's geo-positioning based, geolocation based. I'll explain more about this. So we have first a map as an opening page, and you can do your search there, and you can select your venues and check and look for more information. We will have the page in Spanish first, but the idea is to have it translated into English and Brazilian Portuguese. But the first version will be uploaded and operational only in Spanish. Then we will work in the translations, English and Brazilian. Maybe Catalan will also be a possibility further down the road, because uh, it's part of the network. So Catalan could be considered in this sense as an Ibero-American language for that matter. So that's the basic idea. On the landing page, you will have a summary of everything you can check. You can possibly check. We have the, well, o- habitual content, the menu. Of course, I'm not going to discuss this about us, well, who we are, social networks, new members, press, contact, etc. And then you can go into the map. You can use the browser. I'll show you how it works because it's interesting. And then once in the search engine, there are some pre-established search per country, so per location, and as other countries join, you will have more options available. And then you have another search possibility by category. I'll focus on this briefly because Jacobo mentioned it, but only slightly. Let me insist on this. We want to acknowledge that these venues do many more things than just performing, because it's an artistic project per se, a venue, and they do their training and their research and the residencies, and they do community work. So we want this to be present on the landing page as well. So you can filter per categories, venues that are part of this network, and venues that claim they offer such and such activity, then news and events and all the different categories. What's interesting about the filter is the fact that you can combine different search formats. That is, let me explain. You can filter per country, or in this case, I chose Chile, the theater network in Chile. So then the map goes to the area and it gives us a list. It provides us with a list, and then you can dig deeper into whatever venue you're interested in. Then you can fine tune your search, performance, or exhibition. You can combine this with the country, Spain in this case. I chose Spain, and here you get different informations about the different venues, and you can even use a keyword, dance, for instance, dance and performance and Spain. These are the three filters that I've decided to use, and here is the list that I will get. 190 members, as I say, in the future, and many more. So we thought that that function should be available right from the beginning. Then we have other filters, second level. So the condition in this case would not be and, um, let's say performance and Spain. We get a list of venues, 46, for instance, all the members of the Alternative Theatre Network. But then you can click on, let's say, capacity over 300 seats, or live music, or children's shows. So it's another layer of filters that we can use, and then we get this information, and it's perfectly segmented. We thought it would be ideal to broaden this segmentation profile, this segmentation function, because it'll be essential in the future to really fine-tune the search in as much as possible, because with so many members, it's understandable. We were concerned with the fact in the beginning that the filters were not flexible enough. Let me go back to what I was using as an example before. Let's say performance and Spain. Again, here the condition is and, but you can add more filters or more keywords, exhibitions, publications, and still there was something that we thought was missing, and that just like that, it was not enough, because we wanted to actually be able to organize this melting pot, let's say, of venues, so that it would really be a very accurate search. And this has to do with the information coming from the different venues. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention this, but if you click on the icon on the map, you can go directly to the information about the venue. Let's go now to a specific venue, and you would get specific information about this place. You get the map, and here on a venue by venue basis, we can upload a video, for instance, apart from the description, and you can have pictures, you name it, of course, contact details, email address, their website address, their social network address. Actually, it'll be hidden. It will be public. It will be open as such. And then, uh, if you, of course, link it to Google, then you can go to the different functionalities that Google offers. Now we see other information available here: capacity, the stage width, the stage depth, the stage height, and different traits that we thought might be interesting. This is not real now. This is not based on real data, but it will be working in the near future. Okay, let me go now to this picture. As I said before, one of the first filters that we wanted to have ready and operational already is the kind of activity offered by that venue. The first 5 criteria are just a hypothesis, by the way, and we can change this if other ideas come up and are contributed, because this is on the way. This is not real, okay? This is just an example. It's a hypothesis concerning this venue called Cuarta Pared, the fourth wall. This venue is called Cuarta Pared. We want to know not just what activities are offered, but how much different activities are conducted. You see this cobweb, sort of cobweb design, and it gives us this a geometrical shape, polygon that helps at layers of geometries, and then we find models of venues which a priori can have similar or could have similar interests or expectations. Interesting, because we can then see or imagine potential collaborations or synergy. So it's a research work we are now working on. It's underway, but we want to add this onto our website as soon as possible, as soon as it's ready. Apart from this, the website shows all this content, also the Iberoamerican content, and there's also something very important, which is the backstage, as we like to call it, because it's not just about providing information, but it's also a tool that needs to be useful for the members. So we've created some sort of, how can I put it, internal collaboration space slash software, and that's where all the venues part of RIEE will be. So it's internal collaboration in the sense that we will have their information about all the theaters and all the different venues, so members can upload information and can upload, well, whatever they deem appropriate, and fill in surveys. It's worked for us in the Alternative Theater Network. We've been using this tool for quite some time now. So we are managing this, and it's very helpful. It has different functionalities, and it's worked fine for us. Miguel, we really should cut it short. I'm done. I'm done. Thank you. So just to mention that it's not just a website to provide information, but the fact that there is an underlying tool, it's very important, because it's not just a web page, but it's some kind of collaboration ecosystem that will be hopefully useful for all of us. And I've been involved in this technological part of the story. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Yeah, we think it's important for RIEE not just to be born from ideas or ideologies or just conversations when we meet presentially or on site or remotely, but also to have all the members of the network, everybody who's part of this ecosystem, to come together virtually and share ideas and see which other allies we can establish. Okay? So this is the first part of today's session. Now we're going to have a couple of minute break, and then we'll go on to the second half, which is a panel session on the importance of the creation of networks, where apart from ARTEI, RECIO, Espacios Alternativos, we'll also have IETM, the European network, and we'll have a panel session altogether. So a couple of minute break, and we'll be back for the second half.
Cesc.
Sí, bueno, pues...
Cesc? Yes, thank you for the session so far. It's very interesting to see this, the birth of this new network, and everything is going to contribute. And okay, let's get on with it. We're all looking forward to an active, fruitful Q&A session. I hope there will be lots of questions from the audience, because we all want to speak, to get together, to communicate and establish a dialogue. So please. Yes, we're going to start with the second session. This is going to be more of a debate. We're going to present IETM first, in case you don't know them, and then Iberescena, and then we'll go to the discussion session with the 6 networks. So let me introduce Toni González. He is a member of the board of IETM. He'll tell us about it and about the project that they have on during these COVID-19 days. Toni, are you around? I am, indeed. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon. I'd like to thank Greg and RIEE for having invited IETM. It is an honor for me to represent IETM. It was my turn, but I've been having a quick look about the attendance, and I've seen that there are many other people who could represent them just as well as I am going to, because they know the IETM really well, and they've been working with the IETM for years. But at any rate, that's what I'm here to do. I am a member of the board at IETM. I'm also a consultant. I am a member at IETM, so it's not I work for them, I am a member, and I am a consultant for the transformation of performing arts. I work on mobility and internationalization of cultural projects. Now, I have to be very brief, so I'll be quick. For those of you who may not know IETM, I'd like to tell you what this network is. Well, it was created in 1981, so it's also last century. It has a long history, and it has participated in the transformation of performing arts in Europe over the last few decades. It's been one of the main agents for this transformation, the contemporaneization of performing arts. Now, what makes IETM stands out is that it's quite different from other venues. It is an open network, open to everybody. Everybody who is a professional of the performing arts and who wants to be a part or a meeting point where we can exchange, where we can share, where we can fight for the value of culture and arts, where we empower the professionals of performing arts based on international connections and the exchange of knowledge, and where we take part in a forum of information and knowledge. That is what IETM is. It's the International Network for Contemporary Performing Arts. We organize events, we publish, we campaign for the defense of arts and culture, and we carry out projects. So lots of things. We're based in Brussels. There are some 5 people there. And yeah, that's where our activities come from. Our main activity is actual physical, real meetings of our members. We currently have about some 500 members from 45 countries, mostly in Europe. But we also have members who come from Canada, the States, Quebec, Australia, Korea. Very little relationship with Latin America. This is something that pains me from the history of and the reality of IETM. But I hope that in the future we will be able to bring about these meeting points. So our main activity is this real on-site meetings, although it couldn't be this year, but we tend to have them twice a year in 2 different European cities. This is what we call IETM meetings. We then have satellite meetings or caravan meetings or delegations, whatever. So there are different possibilities. But IETM's mission is not just to organize meetings, but also to empower professionals of performing arts. So we organize webinars, quite a few lately. We publish documents on different subjects that are dealt with at our meetings. We have just published today our IDEA article. IDEA is inclusion, diversity, equality, and accessibility. So this is an interesting subject for us, something we've been working on over the last couple of years. And this year we've also had publications on arts in the rural context or arts in times of pandemics, since that's what we're living now, or living arts in virtual times, which is what we're doing now, how we are transforming to cope. Mappings, we also do mappings. This year, our meeting was in Troms in Norway, in the Arctic Circle. So we published a map of performing arts in Norway. Advocacy is also important for us. And we are, in fact, achieving important goals. We do quite a lot of advocacy at European Union level. We just did the CLEAVE, national governments, where our members interact with national governments so that the ministries of culture at the Council of Europe meetings can favor or can foster the development of European policies for performing arts. We also try to achieve European regulation to improve working conditions. We're working on a framework for working conditions, the gentleman says in English. And the main grant from the European Union for performing arts is Creative Europe, and we're trying to have Creative Europe increase its budget to cover more priorities. And also there's something that was going to be very different. The European Commission from next year is going to support European tours of performing arts, something that up until now was not covered by Creative Europe. So we also participate in projects with other networks, for example, Cultural Action Europe, or the network, which is the Dance House network. So we've created a platform for cultural relations, the SHIFT program. Apologies, Toni, but we are going to have to ask you to finish so that we can also listen to Zaida. Do you mean that I've been speaking for 6 minutes? Well, even more than that. Good God, I haven't even reached 50% of what I wanted to say. Just give me a second, if I may, to explain a project. I mean, it's not going to be a second, obviously. It's going to be a minute, but just to tell you about Rewiring the Network project, because it's very much to do with the debate. We're working on Rewiring the Network, IETM. It is a huge development and reflection from all our members about how performing arts situation has been evolving over the last few years, including this year, or particularly this year. But I mean, it hasn't just been this year. It has been evolving over the last few years with cut downs, with the tough situation of cultural workers, performing artists, environmental impact. We're working on how the network, IETM, is going to have to face up to the transformation towards a future which, well, is changing. Our present is changing, our future is changing, and we're going to see how performing arts are going to adapt. So we're going to see a whole process of analysis, reflection, cooperation with over 140 members, with surveys, brainstorming sessions all over this year. We haven't finished yet, because over the second semester, we'll see how IETM can cooperate. We've now defined what the changes we want to achieve are for the future. And in the second half of the year, we're going to define how IETM can help make those changes real. Thank you. Marta has been posting on the chat some links to the publications that Toni has mentioned and to IETM. You can have a look and download those documents if you want. Okay, thank you, Toni. And now Zaida Rico from Iberescena. Iberescena, I'm sure you know it, but Zaida, I'm sure you are going to tell us what you are working on at the moment, how you are coping with these difficult times, and then we'll go on to the debate. And remember, if you have any questions for this session or for the previous session, write them down on the chat and we'll have time for those at the end. So, Zaida. Thank you, David. And warm greetings to Cesc, Marta, Salvador, and thank you for your tough work. I'm going to set my clock because I'm good and disciplined. Well, for those of you who don't know it, Iberescena was created in 2006 as a program to foster the exchange and integration for performing arts in Iberoamerica. The main goal is to foster through certain calls for action, the creation, the development, and the capacity building for Iberoamerican performing arts. The economic resources so far come from the member countries of the program. There is a priority last call, definitely was so, for projects that focus on gender perspectives, diversity, indigenous peoples, indigenous languages and cultures, or those which foster inclusion or social cohesion. We now have 16 member countries with the recent inclusion of Portugal last year and Cuba. And just to give you an idea of how the program works, it is led by the Intergovernmental Council of Iberescena, made up by what we call REPIs, who are representatives of the member countries, and the technical unit of the program. Those are the two main bodies, which are permanent bodies for the program. And for the last year and a half, I've been doing the technical secretariat. And the chair of the program is now covered. Well, this year it's particularly interesting because we do not have a single chairperson. We have an executive committee with 5 countries, Brazil, Colombia, Spain, Panama, and Peru, who take joint decisions for the program in a consensuated manner. Just to give you an idea, the program handles about €1 million a year for grants and subsidies for the 16 member countries. Last year, our budget went up by 50% in requests. So we now receive some 600 requests or applications a year. I hope that this year, the call is now open, we will also have many, many requests. Most of our requests come from the programs for performing arts, then productions, and finally for residencies. The program holds 2 meetings a year. This year, we should have had our first meeting in April in Portugal. Unfortunately, for obvious reasons, it could not be, and that's why we had to have the first intergovernmental virtual council of Iberescena, and we had to change our blueprint. This year, we had a key point, which was that we had a strategic revision of the program when it was about to turn 15 and soon 20 and at a time when the pandemic is forcing us to question our present. One of the first actions of the program was to implement a new protocol for our beneficiaries so that the 102 projects who are receiving grants this year, 100 in 2020, could go ahead. And then also we had to do all the adaptations and virtualizations that were required. Another important task, oh, I'm sorry, my screen is going weird. Something else that we've been doing, which is important over the last few months, is the project of our recent call for candidates, which was open on the 15th of June. There have been 4 main changes in this call for requests, which opened on the 15th of June and will close on the 15th of October. You can only request or present your request online through our website, and therefore projects between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2021 on our 3 lines of action, which are the usual one: creations in residency, co-production of shows, and programmation of festivals and performance venues. Modalities, different types. You can now present shows which are virtual, on-site and hybrid. Another important change is the reduction of the minimum number of countries engaged in the project. The current minimum is just 1 country presenting in cooperation with another country for residencies, programming, and co-production. The amounts of the grants has also been redistributed, and it is now open to exploring new formats for performing arts. There you go. My alarm has gone off, and pretty much I'm done. Excellent.
Thank you, Zaida. Thank you very much. That's the spirit. That's the idea. So thank you. Let's start now with the discussion. I have not decided on any particular order, so let me just ask a question. A first question. So Jacobo, Verónica, Samuel, Liliana, Zaida, feel free to react. So against the current backdrop, what do you think the networks can contribute in terms of added value? So the networks that have existed for some time now, the new networks, what is it you think we can contribute in this new situation, in this new context? Who would like to break the ice? Come on. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, I was raising my hand, but probably you weren't seeing me. Can I? Yes? Okay, if I may then. Jacobo, yes, go ahead. I think that what we can contribute in the very, very short run, because somehow we are going through a crisis. It's a change in paradigm, and this probably should take us to a new stage, a new scene, the new normal. Well, probably shouldn't be what it was. It wasn't the best scenario in terms of culture, in terms of performing arts. So we as networks should contribute something that takes us to a happy place, and not to a place with poor conditions, let's say. So we can contribute sustainability. That would be my first idea. From common areas, from a common ground, the idea would be to change some concepts. The networks could move from lobbying to working on advocacy and working on new propositions. Maybe we should start forgetting about being that old enclosed guild, just working on our own interests. And I think we should be more dynamic, more open, maybe work more on new propositions and work on a mission that is completely different, or at least more sustainable, or at least more generous with political positionings? Yes, and we should make the most of this moment, this turning point, to really relocate some things, because the first demands of the industry in relation to the lockdown, I'm thinking, it had to do with economic criteria and quantities and amounts, if I recall correctly. And now we should focus more on qualitative values. So we should probably be addressing a new way of doing things, because the first things we mentioned during lockdown was GDP. I think that was the first expression that we focused on, and now we should work on sensitiveness and culture, and what culture is per se, and what our value is. I think that's the way we should head to. Thank you, Jacobo. Tony? Tony wanted to take the floor. Please, go ahead. Yes, I am an optimist myself, so I tend to see the good side of the story. We are locked. Yes, we've been locked down, but we've continued working quite all right. I mean, not everything. We haven't been able to do everything, but at least in my case, I've been meeting with many people. I've been talking to many people. So I've been doing things. I've been working. And of course, there is a negative, terrible part of the story, and some employments have been lost and jobs have been lost, and you lose the direct relation with the audience, and this is of course this is something to be missed. Yes, indeed. But during this period of lockdown, what is it we've done in terms of or as networks? We've been thinking, we've been reflecting upon those things. As I said before, we've uh, worked on the wiring of our network during lockdown. We've been dreaming about our future and how we want to shape this new future, and how we're going to tackle this future. And this allows for us to improve. But we've done many webinars, and we've organized many courses and classes, and we've been learning how to manage online and work with different systems and platforms that were maybe remote for some of us. And we've learned that we can diversify. Of course, it's key to have direct contact with the public, but there's some digital products that take us close to many more people, in fact. So we've locked ourselves at home, but we've also locked ourselves in our local networks in IETM, and probably some of you here have taken part in this. We've been meeting the Spanish members at IETM. We've held 3 meetings, and we've been discussing online the topics related to our part of the network. And it's just not just like that. It's not just that. We've taken a step further, and we've created the Iberian Peninsula meeting, as we've called it, and we've met with our partners at in Portugal, and we're going to organize another one soon enough with artists and programmers in Portugal. This Rewiring the Network project, it's been really interesting, I have to say, and there's something that has called for our attention, my attention at least. It has to do with internationalization, international projection. I'm referring to the fact that in the future, mobility, I mean, it has issues for the planet, for the environment, just taking a plane, catching a flight. This is not something we're going to be doing just like we did in the past, probably. So going back to the local sphere to project internationally, that is a very interesting step for me, because we want to be known internationally, but from the local spheres, and that is a leap that we've taken during lockdown. Great, perfect, Tony, thank you. Zaida, Yes, let me continue along the lines, along the optimistic lines that Toni was expressing. I am an optimist as well, but sometimes I'm not so sure because this expression, the new normal, it's not something that I like very much because it were to be new, we should probably, well, discard parameters or set aside some values or parameters that probably we won't be able to set aside. And as you said before, some of you mentioned this when we started off this endeavor from the beginning or from before the pandemic, the situation was not ideal. In my case, the Ibero-American context, which is what I know, it's full of gaps. So new normal for me, well, that would be a normality without any gaps, and there's a long way ahead. There's a lot to do yet, and that's why probably we're all managers, and that's why we're here. We're like Don Quixotes here all together working on this utopia. I am a huge advocate of the networks, and I think it's well, intertwined relations. That's what a network is. So per se, they have some traits that also contribute their own added value. Even now, the fact that we can collaborate and cooperate in a flexible manner, because sometimes cooperation and flexibility don't go together. And I think that a network in this case helps very much indeed, or it can help solve very specific problems because some other issues, managerial issues, well, are difficult to solve, and it's better if you have someone helping you for a common purpose. Somebody joining a network, well, probably decides to do so. So they do this on a voluntary will, on a voluntary basis. So we're akin in this sense, and our interests, as far as our interests are concerned. So the idea also is to coordinate diversity. That's also what a network can do. And well, we're here now listening to the RIEE presentation, and that is a key word that really goes well with Latin America, diversity, because I think that the networks are so very necessary in the current context. Thank you, Zaida, because the old normal was one of our problems indeed, and we've realized this even more so now with the crisis. The system was fragile, and well, the system was in danger, so we need to try to change that.
Sí,
Samuel,
yo
go ahead, please.
no comparto el
Well,
optimismo.
I am not that
Yo
optimistic,
coincido con
so I cannot
Jacobo
share
en
this
lo que ahora ha dicho y en lo que ha
optimistic views.
escrito en
I
estos meses
agree
en
with
la necesidad de un
what
cambio de
Jacobo
paradigma.
just said, because we need to
No
work on a
obstante, cuando
change,
empiezo a
a
pensar en cómo se
paradigm.
articula ese
However,
cambio de
if I
paradigma,
start to think about
me
how
topo
to
con
do
un
so,
vacío y con un
well,
abismo que de
I
verdad
face
me
the
quita el
abyss,
sueño.
quite honestly, and sometimes I can't
Porque
even
siento que
sleep
nos
thinking
toca
about
en
those
nuestra
things,
calidad de
because
gestores
as the
ser
managers, I think
los
we
impulsores de ese
have to
cambio de
be
paradigma
the promoters of this
y no sé bien
paradigm
cómo hacerlo,
shift.
digamos,
And
más
I
allá
don't know exactly
de
how.
evidenciar lo
I
evidente
don't
que
quite
es
know how
no
to do
podemos
so
seguir
apart
replicando los
from
modelos del pasado,
explaining that
no
we
sé cuáles son
can
los
no
modelos del
longer
futuro, ¿me explico? Y
reproduce
esa
the
falta
models of the
de
past.
certidumbre
And
a
that
mí me pone mal, ¿no?
uncertainty,
Entonces,
well, makes me
sí, formo parte de la
very
RIEE, sí,
nervous.
formo parte de
So,
RECIO,
yes,
pero al
I
mismo
am part
tiempo
of
soy
RECIO.
director de
Yes, I
vinculación
am
y
part
gestión
of RIEE,
cultural de
but
un
I
proyecto
am
que se llama Foro
also
Shakespeare y
part
desde ahí,
of
desde mi
a
puesto,
for
estamos
Shakespeare
trabajando
project. And as when
en
I wear
hacer
this
cosas
other
posibles en lo
hat,
viral, en virtual, en tener
we try to
una
do things
economía
and make things
emergente,
possible virtually
y estamos
or on
descubriendo, por
site,
supuesto, cosas
working
muy
on the
interesantes. Estamos
economy and trying
descubriendo
to,
que
well,
podemos llegar a público que
have
no
the
está en
economy
nuestra zona
afloat.
geográfica.
And
Estamos
we
descubriendo
are,
que podemos
yes,
interactuar
finding
con
out that we can
artistas de
interact with
otros
artists
países,
from other
incluso
places,
para
and we can
articular
reach
proyectos escénicos
wider audiences
desde lo
all
virtual.
over
Por
the
supuesto que ha
globe
habido
being
descubrimientos y yo también he
virtual. So
estado
we have
muy activo
discovered
muy
these new
participante de
things,
estas
this new, and
reuniones
I've
y
been
aprendiendo
active
y
and I've been
aprendiendo cosas nuevas,
participating in many webinars and
pero estamos
and uh,
batallando todavía para
video
encontrar una
conferences, but we're
economía
still
dentro de esto,
fighting
¿no? Y
to
siento que
find
este
an
no es
economy
un periodo
in
corto,
all of
¿no? Ya
this.
se
And this is
extendió y se va a
not
extender. Yo
a
no
short
siento
period of
que el
time.
regreso a
It's
las salas,
extended
el
longer than
regreso me
planned. It
refiero
will
al regreso del
continue. So
público, el regreso
going back to the
de la vieja
theaters, I
normalidad, no sé
mean,
cuándo vaya a
going, I
llegar,
don't know how
¿no?
to put this, going
Y
back
entonces
to
me
the old
pregunto cuál es la
normal,
labor que
having
nosotros
the
como
audience
gestores y
in the room. I don't know
como
when
miembros
this
de
is going
estos
to
espacios
happen
podemos
again.
articular.
So I wonder
Me
how
queda
we
claro que hay
managers
un asunto que tiene que
can
ver con el
do
dinero,
this.
¿no? El
And part
dinero
of this
es
has to do
punto
with money.
neurálgico de esta
And
discusión.
it's like that.
Asumido por años la precariedad
We
del
have been
sector y
working
hablo, por supuesto, desde
in
mi
poor
privilegio, pues,
conditions
¿no? Yo no he
in the
dejado de
industry, and
percibir un
I'm
sueldo, estoy en condiciones
privileged
bastante
because I
más
have my
óptimas que muchos
salary
compañeros
and
artistas y
I am
creadores,
doing fine compared to
pero hay
other
precariedad,
people,
hay
artists and other
inestabilidad,
programs, but
asumimos ya la
the situation is
intermitencia como una condición
precarious, it's
natural de nuestra
unstable,
profesión.
it's like it's in our
Tenemos otros trabajos
nature. We
para
have
complementar
assumed
nuestra economía.
things as if it were our
Eso no
second
puede
nature,
ser la
and that
normalidad, eso
is
no puede
not
ser el estándar, ¿no?
acceptable
¿Cómo
anymore.
combatir
It
eso?
cannot
¿Cómo
be
articularlo
the new normal.
sabiendo
It
que el
cannot be
asunto
the
neurálgico es el
standard,
dinero y la
and
ausencia
knowing
de?
that it all
A
boils
mí me
down
da
to
vértigo y no tengo la
money, or
solución.
rather
Me
lack
parece que el reto
thereof. So I'm really
está
concerned
difícil,
about
pero coincido
where
con
the solution
Jacobo
might
en que
be and
tenemos que ser más
how to
proactivos
do
en proponer nuevos
these
esquemas.
things. We need to be proactive. I think we need to present new proposals. Thank you. Yes, in the meetings that we've had in relation to RIEE, we've heard a lot about this concept, professionalization, professionalize the performing arts and everything we do, because the venues are not just, well, theaters. They do much more than that, and these other activities sometimes are too invisible, if I may say so. Veronica, yes, I I cannot be such an optimist either, I have to say. I said it in the beginning, we are leaving a social crisis behind that came before the healthcare crisis. So what was fought for in our country for 3 months now is even more visible than before. Precarious conditions, hunger, and we see that in Chile as a whole, and we see this in our industry, because the conditions have been poor always in our industry, in the performing arts industry, and it's in crisis as well. It's like everything is a huge crisis, and well, networking is more necessary than ever. I am myself part of many networks, and I am in contact with many guilds, and I feel that we have a lot to do and we don't get many answers back, because the governments ask from us that we do a lot of work and that we provide lots of data, and we do, but the answer is not there. What we get back is not visible. So at least with the network, I've felt supported, much more supported. Now we can speak among the four founding members, and hopefully with many more partners in the future. So for the first time, we're speaking the same language. That's my point. We're speaking the same language. That's what we get out of this crisis. And this helps us. It helps me to see that in Spain, they might be ahead of us, but then suddenly they took 20 steps back. And it helps me understand also the way forward. So it's difficult. It's difficult to find the light in the dark, but at least there's a ray of hope. There's a ray of hope that we can follow, that I can follow, at least for some many months. Some people might end up thinking, why we're doing those all of this? Why? Well, that's why. And seeing all of you, that's the answer. That's why. Yes, sometimes we discuss this because it's like group therapy in the beginning of every video conference, every meeting. We share our sorrows and our happiness. Marta, you wanted to intervene? Marta is muted. Let's see if she can unmute herself so that we can hear her. Marta. Okay, let's hand over to Liliana and then we try to go back to you, Marta.
Simplemente
Yes.
comentar que me identifico
I
con
just
todo
wanted
lo
to
que han
say
dicho
that
los
what
compañeros.
has been said
Ahora
clearly
escuchaba a
resonates.
Verónica
Clearly resonates. I was
de
listening to
nuestro
Verónica
país
just
vecino,
now, our
Chile,
Verónica from our
que vienen de un proceso
neighboring
también
country,
muy
Chile,
complicado, muy difícil.
coming out of a very, very tough period in their history.
Acá,
And
cuando
well,
estábamos
in our
como
case,
país para empezar a reconstruir la tierra arrasada que nos dejó
we
un
had just
gobierno anterior,
started to rebuild literally our country that had been devastated by our own
esto de la
government. Well,
pandemia,
then the pandemic arrived.
y bueno,
The
cuesta
pandemic
mucho con una
arrived.
economía
So
endeble como la
it's
que
been difficult
recibimos y
with
con
an economy that's
una
so
estructura socioeconómica
weak, with a
también
social and
endeble
economic
y
structure that is
agarrada con
also
alfileres y viendo
fragile,
cómo
and
podíamos hacer para
managing or trying to see
reconstruir.
how we could possibly
Bueno,
rebuild
viene esto y obviamente el
everything.
Estado,
Well, the
que por
virus
suerte ahora
arrived,
el
and
Estado
then, well,
está,
luckily
digamos,
now
gobernado por un
the
gobierno con sensibilidad
government
social.
is
Bueno, tiene
more
que empezar a
sensitive
ver cómo
in terms of
distribuye,
social affairs, etc. So we
entre
are
su
waiting to
población
see how the
y entre
government will
los
work
trabajadores,
on distribution among
dinero,
the population and among the
recursos,
workers, and I'm talking
posibilidades.
money and
Y
resources
nosotros,
and
al igual que creo
opportunities
que
and
varios de ustedes, por lo que he
possibilities.
escuchado,
And listening
lo que hemos
to all of
visto,
you,
algo que
what
ya sabíamos, pero que con
we've realized is something that
con la
we
pandemia
already
quedó
knew.
expuesto, salió de abajo de
In
la
fact,
alfombra,
the pandemic
quedó a la luz, es la
just
precariedad
brought it to
de
light.
nuestro
And
trabajo.
again, it's what you already
Y
mentioned. It's how
también,
precarious
como Verónica cuenta en Chile,
our
y me imagino
working
que a todas las personas,
conditions
nos
are.
hemos
And
ocupado de
just
hacer
like
miles de
Veronica in
relevamientos y
Chile,
trabajos que desde el Estado nos pedían,
we've been working on so many
cosa que
tasks that the
también nos
government was
permitió
asking
ver
from
la
us, and we've
cantidad
done it.
no solo de
We did so,
personas y de
and we
trabajadores,
realized not
sino
just
de
how
distintos
many
emprendimientos
people,
y
how many
distintas,
workers, and we've also
llamémosle
seen
negocios,
that different
que
businesses, let's call
dependen
them
también de nuestro
businesses, how
trabajo,
many people and
dependen de
companies
la actividad de
depend
una
on our
sala en una
jobs,
cuadra o en un
on the
barrio,
activity
la
in
cantidad de
a
gente que por
venue,
la
in a
parálisis de la
theater, in
actividad
a
quedó
district. So
sin
since
ningún tipo de ingreso y de
everything came to
recurso.
a halt, many people just were
Entonces,
left
paralelamente a la
incomeless.
precarización que
So in
notamos
parallel
y a
to
la
the
falta de
situation,
derechos
the poor
laborales
situation we
reales que
were coming
tenemos,
from, because we
paralelamente a
lack
eso se ve la cantidad de
labor
gente
rights,
que
etc. In
trabajamos en
parallel
esto.
to
Y lo
this,
que
you
movemos
realize, one
realmente
realizes how many
en lo
people are
que es el
affected
Producto Bruto Interno de un
by
país
this.
o,
And
bueno, la
yes, we
economía
can
de un país,
refer
porque sí
to
movemos.
GDP and the
Lo que pasa es que hemos
economy of the
estado convencidos durante
country.
muchos años de
Actually,
que,
we have
bueno,
something
somos
to
un
say
grupo, bueno, sí,
there,
pero
and
no
we
incidimos en
play
la
our
economía
part.
total de un país. No, yo
We
creo que sí. Entonces,
I do
si
believe
bien
so.
comparto
I
cierto
do
pesimismo
believe
con la
that
mayoría de mis
we have an impact
compañeros,
and we make an impact. So I
también
have,
creo que,
well, I can
bueno,
share
el
certain
hilo del
pessimism here,
optimismo lo
as
podemos ver
others
a partir
have
de
explained, but
salieron las
there's a
cosas a la
ray of
luz. Bueno,
optimism in the
acá
sense
estamos
that
para trabajar sobre
at
eso.
least we
Los
see the
estados nos
problems, we
van a tener que
realize,
escuchar
and governments will have to
y van
listen
a
to
tener que
that,
accionar también
and
sobre
they
esto.
will have to
Digamos,
act
creo que ahí
upon
está un poco el
the
nudo
reality, and
de lo
that's the
que,
key,
de
I
lo que
think.
debemos
That's
trabajar
the
también en esta red, en
key of the
RIEE.
story, and that's what
Y
any
bueno,
network has to
esto,
work on, also
nada
as
más.
RIEE.
Thank you, Liliana. Marta, have we sorted out microphone? No, we still cannot hear you. Now, yes. Now we can hear you. Yes. I'll scream if I have to. First of all, I want to thank you all. I'm not an optimist, but I'm a positivist. I heard that during the pandemic, and I thought it was a great Solomonic statement. I think that this pandemic has helped us reflect, but it's also been a bit of a rake effect. We've trodden on the tip of the rake and it has hit us on the face. We've been talking about the same thing for years. And with something that is typical of my country, which is the silence of the lamb. We're scared. I always say that there are bar discussions where we all feel really brave and say all sorts of things. But then when you have the right interlocutor in front of us, we all turn into lambs and stay quiet. I agree with Jacobo. We need to start talking about quality, not quantity. And we need to have this, how can I put it? We need to have this approach to public administrations and public bodies on an equal plane without hierarchies, the traditional hierarchies, because, well, they are the ones with the money and we are worried that we might be left out. No, let's reposition public bodies. Let's reconsider what public service means. We need to work with them hand in hand, because as we all know, public administrations with transparency issues have become completely bureaucratized and immobilistic because they are following so many protocols and stuff. But we mustn't be afraid of speaking up, because our institutions are the ones who manage public funds, which at the end of the day is our tax-paying money. So it's a walk. We need to walk together. I think before Veronica was saying that they ask and ask and ask and ask. Well, the other day, thanks to the pandemic, I managed to sort out lots of paperwork and I found a plan for new performing venues which had been drafted by many of us in 2008. And funnily enough, we drafted a new one in 2018. It's now 2020. So I think that we now need to feel at ease and speak as equals. And I talk a lot about balance, because we talk about sustainability, but we are huge predators. We are predators for productions, predators for projects, because production is done, there is a flight forwards, but there is no reflection about what we're going to do with all of this. There's this imbalance between artistic production and artistic audience. We've been talking about this for 30 years. And I think the pandemic has brought up to the surface these water lilies, which were drawing their roots in this lake for years, and we're now seeing the flowers come out. That's the positive side of the pandemic. But I mean, it's taken 20 years for the water lily to blossom. So I'm positivist, but I cannot be an optimist, seeing what's coming and what is going to come, because COVID ain't gone anywhere. Okay, we're going to hold on to the positivist side of the whole thing. I know that some of you are saying that you're not optimists, but positivists. So second question, if you want to relate it back to the first one, because after this, we'll go on to chat questions. Going back to what Marta and Toni before were saying, one of the goals of networks is mobility and to create meeting points. I think most networks have meetings, weekly meetings, quarterly meetings, yearly meetings where members meet up. And at times like now, or like Zaida was saying, when they had to go to virtual meetings for Iberescena, how are you seeing the future of networks? Thinking that sustainability and mobility, all this flying and airplanes stuff, it's becoming complicated. And then also we have situations like the current pandemic are going to make this mobility harder. So how do you see this in an artistic way and in a management way, all this network work? Jacobo, I'll give you the floor because you had your hand raised from before. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Well, first of all, let me tell you, Marta Olivera is our next president for the new world. Marta for president, definitely. I mean, every Wednesday we hold a virtual meeting ever since the pandemic started a couple of years ago, or was it 3 months, whatever. And there's always this moment of complaint. And yes, we have to complain, but we have to be positive. We have to go back to what Samuel was saying and Toni was saying. I mean, Toni's word, it was saying that it has helped us reflect. Yes, true, but where from? I mean, reflecting and thinking is good. And if you're home, you can do other things, but thinking is one of the things you can do. So we've been thinking about, okay, where is this reflection, where is this thinking coming from? Because if it comes from repositioning slightly better all the old elements, that's not good enough. And if we say that everything has to be new because we used to be in bad place, well, that might be good, although as Marta was saying, we're scared of losing our bit of cake, our share of cake. Let me go back to what David was saying. But I want to say to Samuel that I agree with what he says. He agrees with me, but it isn't just money. I think that it's not just money. Money is important, but for me, it's ideas, the methods, the cultural policies. I think that we're not finding the right answers yet. It's not necessarily money. Sometimes, you know, money is thrown at the industry and we're all happy because we think our share of the cake is going to grow. Well, that's not it. The point is the paradigm, where we're at, the cultural policy that we move in. That's where we need a leap to give meaning to our networks so that the nodes on the networks make sense and can be part of a balanced ecosystem, as Marta was saying. I've learned from Marta and Natalia Balcero what internationalization was. One of the two or both of them said that internationalization was a way of there and back. And I loved that concept. For us, networks, our network is building an internationalization. It's there and back. It's in both directions with this space, which is Iberoamerica, where we have to work not just with the mobility of artists, because at the initially we had to stop the idea of moving artists, but also we have to move ideas, take it there and bring it back. All those ideas. That's, I'm sorry if I've been a little dense in the bringing together both questions, but I wanted to at least try. It's good. It's good. We're taking your answer. Now, anybody else for this second question? Mobility, meetings, encounters. Samuel.
Sí. Quiero nada más apuntalar el asunto del dinero porque me
I wanted to go back to money.
Que está siendo muy difícil atender el mundo de las ideas cuando
it's hard
la gente no tiene que comer,
to
¿no? O sea,
think of ideas when people are hungry.
Estoy diciendo una obviedad, pero
I mean, I know
me parece
this
importante
is
y
pretty
creo que
obvious,
ahí es
but
donde
I think
empieza
it's
también a haber un
important.
poco
And I
las
think
diferencias
that's where we start
del
to
hoy,
see
¿no?
differences.
O sea, se está moviendo todo muy rápido.
the present of the today. Things are moving quickly. 6 days ago, Jacobo, I saw that you published that they've just had the biggest budget for performing arts, public performing arts grants in Valencia. I read that and I thought, wow, amazing, great, brilliant, even if it's somewhere else in the world. That, unfortunately, is not happening in my country. I know that our economies are different, our problems are different. And of course, I'm with you in this reflection that, of course, ideas are important. And ideas take us to how we understand the economy of performing arts. But right now, we at RECIO network, it's not that we are wasting our time, but we are devoting a lot of time to seeing the immediate needs, immediate help for colleagues who are working in this industry. And this is our present, managing scant resources. There's no room for other types of reflections on our ideas, which I know have to be achieved, but I just wanted to share with you where we're at on money. Now, on the articulation of networks and the possibility of circulation or movement, I think that right now we're discovering lots of things about geographical barriers that we thought used to exist, and apparently they don't. Like now, we are having a wonderful, rich conversation from 4 different countries in the world in different time zones, and we're communicating and we are sharing a present. This is a social event, and for many years, because the technology was not up to it, or because we were a bit lazy, we were not making the most of it. I think that right now we need to think of that. We need to think how we are going to coexist with the virtual reality in our geographies over the coming months, and not few months, but many months. Many of us have now given in to the virtual world, and we are moving in it, and we're even excited about the possibilities it opens up. So apart from accepting that the virtual reality is here to stay, we need to see how we're going to move in this virtual reality, how we're going to bring to the audience the content that is going to be produced virtually. I mean, we can meet virtually together and talk about things and reflect and think, yes, but how are we going to turn this into a meeting point with our audience? How are we going to make our audience enjoy this universe? I think that would be an interesting point for this conversation. Thank you, Samuel. Yeah, the idea of streaming and streaming theater versus on-site theater, that's a very interesting discussion, and it has been tackled over the last few months, although it hasn't quite finished. Vero, whenever you want. Just to answer your question, I think that now our networks, not just through our own directives, we can communicate and think all together, but also through different kind of levels. Like right now, all our communications people are in touch and they're learning. They're learning with and from other communications professionals and our coordinators. So it's not just the venues, it's, you know, what I was saying, what I was giving you as an example from what we did when we started out, but also the way we structure our networks. And I'll go back to what Samuel was saying, to give us a better experience of making more visible our work and our networks with our audiences, so that the people in coordination roles can learn. We all have to learn what are the main activities are and what can be replicated in other networks. And I agree with Samuel again, remembering that we want to reach as many people as possible. We want to bring these walls down, bring these barriers down, the barriers that many people have to access arts and culture. And in that, I can see a bit more of a glimpse of light. And that's important, and that's why we want to thank Greg for giving us this opportunity to have this conversation, because now at all layers of our network, we're in touch, we're communicating, and this is the result of years of work, which started out in Spain. And we're now, 2 years later, seeing how it bears fruit. So yeah, I want to inspire some positivity.
Thank you, Veronica. 2 more questions, and you're going to all become optimists. Okay, Zaida wanted to take the floor. Thank you, David. I would like to thank everyone, really, dear colleagues. It's very stimulating to listen to you all, guys. Thank you, Samuel. Because actually, I was listening to you, and it came to mind that one of the main issues that this new virtuality has contributed is the fact that the ecosystem of performing arts has been sort of erased. And one of the big tasks that we have to do in terms of cultural management, and I'm referring to cultural institutions, both public and private, and networks also have this job, is to make this ecosystem visible again. The different links in the chain need to be visible, because there are very many different people involved in an artistic event, in a show, and there are two dangers out of many more probably, but right now we need to mention the fact that there's not that much payment capacity, so solvency is an issue and is going to be in the short mid run, and the fact that legitimacy might be lost for the cultural industries and for the performing arts in general, I should say, in all our countries. So networks will have to work together, but truly together, and really make the most toward turning these walls down. Ivana Soto, a journalist, was asking Wilson whether theater was going to change after the pandemic, and he replied, "Everything will be different. Everything will be the same." That was his answer. So I don't know, negativism, optimism, positivism, I don't know what to call this, but I think that indeed everything's going to be different, yet everything's going to remain the same. So it'll depend. It'll depend on our workplace, on our jobs, and how we actually tackle this regeneration of our ecosystem and this rebuilding, and the fact that we can take those all walls down. Thank you, Zaida. I don't know whether there are other people who wanted to take the floor. Yes, Tony was raising his hand. Tony, the floor is yours. Yes, I wanted to say something. It's not a personal, not a professional opinion. I've been a consultant for years, but I'm going to wear a different jacket now, because I represent IETM here, and I've been listening to all of you, and I wanted to say that IETM, actually, we have a code which is we're not selling anything. ITM doesn't sell things. I mean, you can sell your project, you can sell your tour, but we're not supposed to. So it's a bit problematic. So what do we do if we're not supposed to sell things? Because our trade is not a fair, it's not a trade fair, it's not a market, it's a place. art, our industry is a place, is a space that allows for us to talk to each other. And I understand what Jacobo was saying. Internationalization means a give and take. It's not about continuously asking for things, but it's also about giving out things. So that's the key behind new working, and that's what IETM has been doing since the 80s, and it's something that still goes on, and it's been transformed and it's adapted to the current times, and now we are undergoing a reflection process to take us to the future, into this new future, with a series of practices and identifying different well, practices that probably are not sustainable anymore. I mean, poverty is not sustainable anymore, and precarious conditions are not sustainable, and theater being considered as mere entertainment is not sustainable anymore. The fact that we neglect the environmental impact that comes with our action is not sustainable anymore. So we need to exchange views and learning. So that's why I was saying that I was an optimist, because at least we've had the time to reflect upon these things. And of course, we generate projects, and you sell the project. Of course, you pitch it, because that's what takes us to doing things in the end. But projects are very different, and one project might be well, getting funds, yes, but another story might have to do with diversifying the project so that the business model and the working methodology is sustainable from now on. And that's also a task that we've conducted at ITM in the past few months. So we should give it the importance it deserves. I think well, I've come to this point because I've thought that I don't know enough and that I need to learn every day. Now I'm not a consultant anymore. I collaborate with artists and programmers to see what degree of collaboration is necessary so that the project is sustainable. And I realize day after day that we need to learn more and more every single day. We need to continue learning so that the projects can flourish. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. I am really sorry, but it's 6:30 sharp, so that's the time. It's been 2 hours and a half, and it's a very rich and fruitful discussion. And actually, there are no questions in the chat. Some comments have been expressed, opinions about the role that Europe is supposed to play in terms of global policies, and no, the intermittent contracts, cultural programs. Remember that you can download the chat because there's some links there that you might be interested in. If you click on the 3 dots to the right-hand side of the little box of the thumbnail, you can download the chat. So all the text, all the information will be saved, and you will be able to, well, take a look at the different comments and opinions. So before I hand over to Cesc again, I just would like to thank you all for having joined us today. Samuel, Veronica, Liliana from Argentina, Jacobo from Madrid, Zaida from Madrid as well, Toni in Barcelona. Thank you. I would like to thank the GREC Festival for having given us the opportunity to introduce RIEE, this Ibero-American network of performing venues. It's great and only timely that we've done this using the GREC Festival. I would like to thank Marta and Salvador for this great opportunity, and all the team at the Nau Ivanow. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to Cesc, and he'll officially close this session today. Thank you. Thank you, David. It's the end for today, but we will continue tomorrow, indeed. So maybe some people missed it today and might decide to join us tomorrow. We'll be here, same time, same place. Let's call this a place. We don't know what this is, but it's a meeting place. Yes, why not? So anyhow, well, I just want you to to stay tuned if you can, because we'll share different projects. We'll present 10 projects now, and if you want to see how far we got in terms of performing art with this new format, with this new virtuality, so Greg is going to be open for you to check. Let me just stress, by way of example, a project called Poeta de Guardia. You call on a number, a free number, and an actor, a renowned actor, will recite a poem for free. It would be good to have someone from Latin America, well, dialing in this number and receiving a poem. We have a project with Guillermo Calderón and Manuela Infante. You can check it on our website. You can take a stroll, virtual stroll through the city of Barcelona and see the spots in Barcelona that are connected with Latin America. So you're invited to check this out at 7 p.m. tonight. We will have a video art project opening with the Academia venue related to Winnipeg, the boat. So it's a great project that will be opening in video format tonight. It's a project involving different venues in Barcelona. Actually, this will be discussed tomorrow. You have the program, I'm sure, but we will have a session about this project. So you will hear more about this project tomorrow and some of the artists involved. So 10 different artistic projects that connect Barcelona with Latin America that will be interesting. And there's a mapping project that has been conducted related to inspirational experiences related to Latin America. That's the headlines, let's say, but stay tuned today and tomorrow for more. Okay, any technical information, anything else from you, David? Otherwise, we can call it a day. Well, let's leave it for today. Otherwise, yes, yeah. We'll unmute all of you if you want to say goodbye. It's the time now, and otherwise we'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you.